What's happening, y'all? It's your man SamAnt here at Viral Hip Hop News. Listen, do me a favor. You see the brother right now on your screen. Go down to my description box and follow Chakra Doctor at Chakra Doctor TV on YouTube. Your only place to find miracle food.
Great point. Now, another person you spoke about was Jay Morrison. Now, good friend of ours, Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I've seen you give criticism to him too, and that's perfectly fine because as men, and one thing we need to realize, not only as men, but as content creators, it's okay to agree to disagree on people. It's okay to have difference of opinions and still respect people as men. That's okay to do. Right. You know what I'm saying? So Jay Morrison, we had the opportunity to just come in contact with, didn't have a conversation with him for whatever reason, but talk about his whole, I don't even know what to call it, his hustle.
So Jay Morrison actually hit my radar, I want to say, 2 or 3 or 4 years ago now. And what ended up happening was he had a viral Instagram video back then. And in this video, he was basically giving a presentation of how you can save a lot of money on taxes. Now, as a professional licensed accountant, I looked at that and I saw, what he is actually giving you advice to do is called tax evasion, right? Which is a crime. And what I did was I reached out to him. I Googled his name, found his company, and I emailed him and said, hey, listen, this video that's kind of going viral right now, you probably want to take it down because what you're telling people to do, what you're giving them a tip to do, because these type of guys, they'll always say, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm a businessman. So I know some stuff, but this ain't financial advice. But then they immediately start to give financial advice as if that disclaimer really means anything. But so I told him, in the email, you need to take it down. And I gave him point by point of why what he was saying was incorrect and why what he was abdicating people to do was actually tax evasion. And, I never heard from him. I didn't get a response. I understand, he's probably a busy guy. He has a very large social media following, but the video kept kind of going. So what I ended up doing was I made a post on the video. And I basically said, hey, you don't want to follow this. Trust me, I'm a licensed accountant. Before you attempt to do anything like this, make sure you see a licensed professional, to protect yourself. And honestly, I would have left it at that. But then his wife came into the picture. So his wife came into the picture and, she was making posts and going back and forth with basically saying, I was clout chasing and, I'm trying to make a name for myself off their brand. And I don't know what I'm talking about. Even though last time I checked, she is a D-list actress. And I've gone through years and years of school and practice to be a certified financial planner. But apparently she knows more about finances than I do in her mindset. So ultimately what ended up happening was she calls my office. She's like yelling at me on the phone. She puts Jay on the phone and, we kind of go back and forth a little bit and I let it go. Now, all of a sudden, later on, this Tulsa real estate fund thing starts hitting social media. I had no idea that it was even associated with Jay Morrison because I didn't know what the hell it was. Right. But then when I found out what it was, Jay Morrison is like, Sean Diddy Combs in the 90s. He's all in the videos. Any project that he's in, you don't know it's him, right? It's his thing. He's a showman. So when I saw who it was, I already knew it wasn't going to be a good deal, right? And I've got clients who are professional athletes and entertainers, and they were approached by people within, the Jay Morrison circle to, donate. Well, I shouldn't say donate. It's to invest. To me, it's a donation, but to invest in the Tulsa real estate fund. And what I did was I just gave my clients Jay Morrison's background. I showed the issues that he's had in the past with his former business partners. There is a case where he was filing for bankruptcy. It became known through the bankruptcy that he basically had a real estate deal with some close friends of his. I'm not talking about strangers or just people that he met, people that he grew up with. And ultimately what happened, to try to make a long story short, they brought him in on a real estate deal. It was supposed to be his job to sell the house and split the money up. What ended up happening was he sold the house, didn't tell his partners. The partners didn't realize that the house was sold until they drove by the house and saw there was people in it. And then when they confronted Jay and saw that he didn't even sell the house for the number that they told him to sell it for. And he ultimately ended up with a $200,000 judgment against him that he was trying to get discharged in personal bankruptcy. So when I shared this information with my clients, obviously they decided not to invest or donate to the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. And now Jay Morrison blames me, or at least there was a recording that seemed to blame me for the reason that the NFL Players Association basically put out a warning for all of their members that, this Tulsa Real Estate Fund, what it is, his background, his issues, and, he blames me for it. But honestly, I think his own background is responsible for the NFLPA putting out that warning.
Why wouldn't you invest in a Tulsa Real Estate Fund?
Okay, so even if I put Jay Morrison to the side, like let's say Jay Morrison is not a part of the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, I still would not invest in the Tulsa Real Estate Fund purely based off the numbers. All right, so I'm gonna try to make this as simple as possible. So when you do an investment like this, you have to register with the SEC. And when you register with the SEC, you have to completely open up your financial statements and provide this information, okay? What he was selling this investment for was $50 per share, but you had to buy a minimum of a 10-share block. So you had to do a minimum investment of $500, right? So stick with me with this math, okay? Based on the amount of shares that he had available to sell, I can do a mathematical equation to figure out what is he evaluating the company at, right? For anyone who's ever watched Shark Tank, right? Normally what happens is an entrepreneur comes to the panel of sharks and they say, hey, I'm going to sell you 10% of my company for $100,000. One of the smarter sharks will say, well, that means you think your company's worth $1 million. Prove to me why you think your company's worth $1 million. That's normally how it goes.
Right.
So the second I saw that he was selling the shares for $50 a share, and then I just looked at his SEC report to see how many shares he was selling, I was able to do the math and figured out that Jay Morrison is evaluating this company at $50 million.
What?
This is a company that had no revenue, had no assets, meaning it's a real estate company that owned no real estate, right? The only thing it had on its books was debt. The second I buy a share, even if I was just buying that 10-share block at $500, the value of my $500 asset is completely in the bucket. It's nothing now because I bought it as if the company was worth $50 million when the company is not now, nor has it ever been worth $50 million. So hopefully people can understand the math in that. It's like you wouldn't buy a pair of Air Force Ones that is only worth $100. You wouldn't buy it for $1,000 and think that you actually got something worth your money. That's what it was to buy into the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. Even at this time, the company doesn't have anywhere near a $50 million balance sheet. When you take a look at all of its assets, the net worth of this fund, it's not $50 million. So, but you bought it as if it was. So you lost.
Wow.
It's a total L. Even if the company gets up to a $50 million valuation, what did you gain? That just means that you're at where you bought.
Yeah, broke even.
Yeah.
Man. So a lot of people throw the argument out at you a coon, you don't like the brothers, you don't like this, you ain't for the people, you out here just hating on another brother. Why you don't do this to the white man? You've heard the rhetoric before, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
How do you combat that, man?
Man, it's the easiest thing in the world. Listen, people, I am in the Black community. A majority of my clients are Black. When I create my content and it's specifically for people who prey on the Black community, it's really a service for my community. It's like I am the BET version of American Greed, right? Yeah. And I remember back in the day, the first time that NSYNC came to 106 in Park. Like some of your viewers may be young, but I remember a lot of people wasn't happy about that. We wasn't excited to see NSYNC on 106 in Park because we couldn't cross over to MTV as easily as they were able to cross over to BET, right? So the reason why I'm going to continue to stay within my community and focus on people who prey on my community, because honestly, it's the stories that interest me the most.
Right.
And if they want to see content that is covering the white scammers or fake gurus, trust me, there's way bigger platforms than Pocket Watching with JT that you can get this information. You can go to CNBC and watch American Greed. You can go to Spencer Cornelia, who has a much bigger channel than mine. Or you can go to CoffeeZilla, who almost has 1 million subs. The people who say that in the comments, they're really just, their feelings are hurt because I'm probably talking about someone who in their minds is like a hero to them. And instead of being able to defend their hero with facts and figures and actual numbers, they only come with emotions. And let me tell you something. I'm gonna be 39 this year. Emotions don't move me, man. That's why being an accountant is like one of the greatest professions that I could ever imagine for myself. It's all about numbers. It doesn't matter how you feel, right? If I look at your balance sheet or your income statement and you lost, $10,000 this year, you can cry, you can get mad, you can talk about all this other stuff. The number don't change. And that's just how my personality is.
To introduce the show, when I sent this to Sam, asked, oh God, that nigga said, oh God, you the man, Cass. I spit white like a clan mask, and I'm a hustler. I could stand out on the beach and sell sandbags. Some things can't last, but this ain't just a podcast. This is SamAnt O'God cast. Hip hop uncensored is the vibe, so subscribe. Hip hop uncensored is the vibe, so subscribe. Oh God, driving SamAnt riding passenger side, and you heard it out the mouth of the greatest rapper alive. Hip hop uncensored is the vibe, so subscribe. Hip hop uncensored is the vibe, so subscribe. Oh God, driving SamAnt riding passenger side, and you heard it out the mouth of the greatest rapper alive. Go gang.